Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Now, you guys know I'm a massive fan of the Aliens movie franchise. I've been putting it off for far too long. I'm here with my wife, my gorgeous, beautiful wife. Of course, wristwatch check. I'm wearing the Giugiaro, the Ripley watch. Let's roll the intro and get into today's episode, and hopefully later on I'll tell you how the movie was. Quick disclaimer before I get into this video, you're going to hear horrendous noises, and also my uploads for the coming weeks are going to be a little bit sporadic, so to speak, and that's because this is happening just outside the window. I have been waiting for my little Explorer. That's why I've been putting it off. I know a lot of you have been asking, state of the collection, long overdue, but finally my medium-term goal has been realized. I've also come up with a fantastic use for the beautiful little custom illustrated notebook that I was given by my good friend Art. A friend of his is an artist and did this beautiful notebook. So I'm going to use this to keep track of what's incoming and outgoing in my collection, a little logbook, if you will. And I feel this is just going to be absolutely spot on for the job. Now, a few observations. I know I said I was consolidating, but now I think my collection stands at about 17 pieces, including my Charles Frodsham. The last state of the collection, I think it was 16, so it's actually grown. You know what? I'm just going to keep collecting. I'm having fun. Who cares? It's a watch channel. I mean, I'm not... You know, what's the point of having a watch channel with a tiny little concise collection? You know, I agree it's not for everybody, but for me, it just makes more sense. So I'm just going to embrace the sickness and the madness, so to speak, and just have fun buying what I want. That's my new philosophy. We'll see how that goes anyway. Now, before we change perspectives, have a look back at the previous state of the collection. If there are any pieces that you think I may have missed, or you're wondering, where's that piece gone, where's that piece? Well, I probably covered it in the last state of the collection, which I think was it January? I think so. I'll add a link or something. Oh, and by the way, wristwatch check. It's the Explorer. What else is it going to be? I'm still honeymooning it. I did wear the Giugiaro, the Ripley watch, to Alien Covenant, but today the Explorer is back on. Enough rabbiting on. Let's change perspectives and get into the state of the collection. So let's commence with what's left the collection, and I'm using this beautiful early Renaissance Madonna and Child postcard just because it's the right size. Yeah, anyway, beautiful painting nonetheless. So let's start off with probably the most surprising, especially the Tudor day date. Yep. It's been sold. It's been 14 months that I own that watch. I adore it. It really is special to me, and I know a lot of you are going to be very, very shocked. Oh, and by the way, I'm not doing wristwatch check just yet. You'll see why in just a moment. Anyway, yeah, the Tudor, the day-day, it's gone, aka the Henry. Also the Tiger. I mean, the Tiger was basically just a scratch to itch, so to speak. I was inquisitive of experiencing it, and sometimes the only way is to really buy these pieces in, and I had a great fun. And shout out to my good friend John, who bought it off me. I love that watch. I really enjoyed my time with that. I'm gonna get another Tudor in, something a little bit more contemporary with sapphire glass, possibly a day date, but also I had to free up some quick cash to get the Explorer in. It's the same seller that sold me the Tudor, and it was such a good deal. I just couldn't pass it up. And you know, when you've been buying from a particular dealer, you get to know them, you get to trust them, and I just really wanted that Explorer, so sacrifices had to be made. Anyway, talking about sacrifices, let's move on. Another surprise departure from the collection is, of course, the Omega Seamaster, the 166 088, aka the baby blue. Beautiful 70s example of a Seamaster. Again, another itch I kind of scratched. Probably one of the most enjoyable of the Seamasters. But as you'll see later on, my diver part of the collection, or diver part of the fleet, so to speak, is a little bit overcrowded, and it was overlapping with my Squale 1521. And these days, yeah, it was just not getting worn. So, you know, I prefer to put the money towards my Explorer. Anyway, let's move on. The Casio A158W. Well, actually, that's what I'm wearing right now, because I can't wear any of my watches. There's the little Casio, and that's my wristwatch check. So what's happened to this piece? Oh, I still love it, but it's basically been absorbed into my wife's collection. She adores it. She has the gold version as well. So when she's wearing silver jewelry, she'll put this on. That way I can still borrow it, but it's in her collection now. So let's move on to watches not present. Of course, or actually we can get rid of that now. Of course, my grandfather's Charles Frodsham pocket watch, the watch that started it all, family heirloom, absolutely priceless. It's back home in England. Yeah, there's no point of having it here. I'm never going to wear it. It's something to be treasured, and to remember my grandfather, who's a huge influence in my life. You know, man of culture, a man of integrity and honor, and just a real idol for me, and role model. So, and it's the watch that started this whole thing off, really. I'm not talking about the channel, I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about when I inherited it. It fascinated me, that beautiful hand engraved solid 18 karat gold movement. The entire case is solid gold. It's really something special, and a link to my past, and a link to tradition, and yeah, so it's very, very special. Anyway, I'm going to move forward before I start getting far too emotional. So let's get that out the way. Now, we can't do this video without, of course, the customary opinel. So where should we start? Let's start with an absolute classic, and probably one of my favorite divers of all time. Of course, the Seiko Skx. Now, I do have a Seiko Skx. Which one is it? The 013, the mid-size, currently being repaired. I'm still sourcing parts. I'm having very difficult time finding a sapphire. I want a domed sapphire for it. In the meantime, I'm enjoying this, which is my Hunter Pro mod. It's basically a SKX 007 automatic, a real diving watch, an icon. If you guys are not familiar with this watch, then you must be new to the channel. It's an incredible timepiece. It's such fun with this modded, Cerakoted version from Watchmaker 4. Shout out to you, I have reviewed it. He doesn't do these very often, so if you want one, it's probably a queue now, I would imagine. It has the Mercedes hands. Anyway, I've done a whole review. I adore this piece. I still have fun with it. Breathed new life into the SKX for me. I'm got to admit, I was getting a little tired of just the standard 009 I had previous, the J version. Day date, it's just very practical, and I love this kind of military, hard as nails aesthetic. I really do love this. What can I say? The SKX, definitely a keeper, and I think that's probably why I started with this piece. So I'm going to put that there. We'll put divers in this area. Another keeper is, without a shadow of doubt, oh, that's upside down, the Squale 1521, again, automatic dive piece, slightly higher price bracket. This is, I think, about $900 new. I've got it on the mesh. I love it on the mesh. I adore Squale. You guys know I'm a huge fan of the brand. Real heritage. They're not just some resurrected brand. I had the pleasure of meeting the owner, who grew up and personally knew the Von Buren family. You can see their little logo above the S. I love this watch. It's not trying to be anything. It's definitely its own thing. Squale have made incredible watches for the military, for the I think the Marina Militare. They've made cases for Blancpain in the past. Just a wonderful, wonderful, rich history. A lot of people have kind of asked me why I'm so obsessed with Squale, and going so far as to think, you know, am I on their payroll? Absolutely not. I've never received a dime Well, I was given a special book by the owner, and I think just as a special thank you. But you know, and I was truly honoured. But I'm a genuine fan. Never received a dime from them. I love their watches for what they are. Just look at that blue. How can you not fall in love with this thing? I mean, it still gives me excitement and pleasure and everything that it did when I first got this watch the first time around. So yeah, the Squale 1521, definitely a keeper. Let's put that there. We'll put that there like that. That's better. There we go. So there's my divers in the corner there. Okay, moving on, and another pillar of the fleet, and this is definitely a keeper. Although I did have some moments of kind of, you know, questioning it, but I can't get rid of this watch. It's too special for me. It was to commemorate my 30th. It was a Grail Met, the Rolex Submariner, the ceramic. It is chunky, it is a big watch, but sometimes I kind of like a little bit of that. Best clasp in the business, without a doubt. I love that oyster. I never take it off simply because of this clasp and this bracelet. It's just unbeatable. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's nothing more to say. It's a Submariner. I've always wanted one. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to wear it tomorrow. It's not going anywhere, so let's put that there with, I mean, what a you know, strong trio there. Incredible. God, that's a collection in its own. See, I'm getting excited, and these are my own watches, you know. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so now we're going into aviation watches or pilot watches, and here is dear old Flighty on the NDC strap, genuine military strap, as used by I think was it the French parachutists? I think so. But what is amazing is it's stretchy. It's one of the most comfortable straps I've ever worn. There are a few out there, but this strap has seen action, you know. That's how cool it is. It was literally on the parachute bags of real parachute military personnel. So very special indeed. It's the perfect marriage because of that yellow, that kind of viper stripe going down there. The dear old Flighty. I had moments where I thought about selling it, but it's just still relatively affordable. I can't, the charm of it still does it for me. I still find it endearing, and I love looking at that dial, the depth of that dial, and just the amount of detail. And am I ever going to use any of these scales? Absolutely not. I've used it once to try and calculate a tip, failed miserably in a restaurant. You know, I'm not a pilot. It makes me happy. It's fun. It's got the screw down pushers, so you can dive with it. I mean, it's a tough watch, barely over 40 millimeters, so it fits me perfectly. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. I'm still going to enjoy Flighty. It's a quartz. It's not automatic, but you know, so many features, the dual time zone, alarm, chronograph, obviously the date. It packs a hell of a lot of punch, and that domed. A lot of people don't actually like the domed hard legs, but I do. I find it quite endearing. Anyway, yeah, so that's going there. We'll have my aviation watches there, or my pilot watches there. Continuing with pilot watches, we have, of course, the Sinn 104. A beautiful German-made automatic piece, as you can see, made in Germany. Day-date complication. They've got the Celita, beautifully decorated. I recently repurchased this piece. You can see that lovely rotor, that gold tone custom rotor. There you go, look at that. Yeah, it's a tarted up Celita SW200, but the Celita SW200 is incredibly reliable, robust movement. And Sinn do an amazing amount of, you know, tests. They drop test it, they pressure test it. It doesn't have all the higher end Sinn technologies that they're so famous for, but almost at the entry level. Has the countdown bezel, which takes a bit of getting used to, sorry. Bi-directional, obviously, so it's in reverse, but for cooking and stuff it's quite useful. Those syringe hands, I recently swapped this with my good friend GCR, or Giancarlo out there. If you're watching, hello my friend. He loved it so much that he bought his own Sinn, not this one, but what was it, 903. But look at that dial, incredible balance, beautifully designed piece. Everything has been thought out. There are some little minuses. I did do a 5 loves and loathes, but it is And I still think the perfect everyday watch. This on an olive strap, I got it on grey currently. It has a bit of an old school charm. It reminds me of some of the early Submariners, even though, yeah, it's an aviation piece. And what's funny, it's got 200 meters water resistance with the screw down crown. So in theory, you can even wear it diving. So crazy. Just goes to show Sinn famously over-engineering their watches. God, I have to have a German-made watch in the collection, and I have a feeling it's not going to be the only one. Staying with aviation pieces, we have another return, the Marathon Navigator here, again with a bidirectional bezel, but this time with a second time zone with the 12 hours. This is a military spec quartz, ETA quartz, just a smidgen under $200. I also reviewed this amazing brand with a long, rich legacy of making precision timing instruments for the military since World War II. We have the tritium loom, which is fantastic, and I do Schwarzkopf this a lot on my other wrist, simply because of that loom, and also currently I've got it on London time. It's a tough little cookie. It's got the fibre shell case, so it's not going to peel and, you know, get chipped away like a PVD. I have a feeling the buckle and the strap is PVD. But anyway, incredible value for money. Brand you can be proud of. This is the real deal when it comes to military watches. And they also have quite a few special editions for various divisions and regiments and militaries from across the world. It's also got a slight kind of old school charm with that domed crystal there, the acrylic crystal. That little dash of red. It's a charming piece and great fun. Perfect as a beta watch. I do adore it. So I'm going to put that there with my other aviation watches. Next we have the king of all aviation watches. The Rolex GMT Master II, of course. This was another... Well, actually, it wasn't a grail. It was just a process of elimination. I went through quite a few GMTs to finally come to the realization that this is the one for me. I love the Pepsi, the little Hoffman, as I've come to call it, in ode to Dustin Hoffman in Marathon Man, as he wore one of these. It's probably got keeper status as well, and it's becoming trickier because I wanted to have 5 keeper watches, but I've certainly gone over that. But anyway, wonderful, useful complication, and kind of avoids the Schwarzkopfing because, you know, I got London time and local time. So let's put it there with the other. Let's just move that over a little bit. I neglected to mention automatic, of course. I've reviewed it. I've also done my 5 loves and loathes. So do check it out if you want to find out more. Hugely iconic. I mean, what more is there to say? So now we have the last pilot or aviation watch, of course, the Breitling Navitimer, one of my favorite watches. This is a watch I put off buying for a long time. I originally tried one on, I think, in Barcelona many years ago before the channel, when I was living there, and I fell in love with it, and I always wanted it, and I substituted it with various watches. Funnily enough, the Flighty, even though it is very similar, the Flighty is a different feeling for me. And this German strap, guys, check out the review I did. This is one of the best. In fact, this is such a cool strap. I ordered another one in a slightly darker color in 20mm that I'm probably going to put on. Actually, I think I might put it on the Sinn. I think it will really go. The Navitimer predates the Submariner, predates the GMT there, predates the Speedmaster even. So it's one of the I gotta say, I think it's one of the most underrated icons. Even though they are still quite popular, but I love the Navitimer. The complexity of the scales, but yet so crisply executed. Just gorgeous. Sometimes I do like a bigger watch, you know. I know I go on my small watch crusade, but this and divers are the few times where you need something a little bit bigger. It's in keeping with the genre. So yeah, I love the Navitimer. It's certainly not going anywhere. So that is the aviation part of the collection. Crikey, I didn't realize I had so many pilot watches. Anyway, let's move on. So now let's look at dress watches. This is my vintage Omega. from the 1950s, early 1950s, those beautiful dolphin hands. That marble dial that's just become toasted and beautifully patinaed over time. Actually, it's funny, I had a few people saying, oh, it's too far gone, it's too much, but I think it's perfectly cooked, you know. It's got such character, that applied Omega, the fact that it hasn't got Seamaster or any of the line, you know, the lines of watches that Omega offer written at the 6. It's just an Omega. I spent just under $400, probably the best $400 I ever spent, and I bought it from the same seller as the Baby Blue, one of the best dealers I've come across on eBay, certainly. And I saw that dial and I just fell in love. The crosshairs and the applied numerals at 12, 3, 6 and 9. It's gorgeous. Completely original and incredible value for money. It's, you know, there's tons of great Omegas out there. In-house movement as well, the 200 series. It packs a hell of a lot in for its punch. I mean, such class, such character, understated. It doesn't have date or anything. It's just a perfect dress watch. A domed crystal, even drilled lug holes. So, yeah, I just love it. So that's my little dress watch. Let's put that there. My second dress watch, and surprisingly similar. You can see the similarities in its design, but yet strikingly different. This is a 60s... Oops, sorry, it's not focusing. This is a 60s Timex, made in the United Kingdom, with a champagne sunburst dial. It's manual wind. Oh, and by the way, that is manual wind as well, if I neglected to mention. And of course, the Navitimer is automatic. This is an incredibly special watch for me because it's made in Great Britain, the factory in Dundee, when Timex, before they outsourced to the Far East, I think. Incredible value for money. I bid on this. I think I won it for $39.99. These movements were, I mean, they're ugly as hell to look at, but built like absolute tanks. Not the most accurate in the world, but it's got such understated class about it, and a little bit of patriotism as well. So yeah, I do adore it. That's certainly not going anywhere. Probably keep a status on that as well. Okay, my next watch is from 1998. This is the Jellyfish from Swatch. Very fun piece. I picked it up on eBay used. They're quite rare to find these days. This is in the smaller 34mm size, skeletonized, as the name suggests, jellyfish. My wife loves this. She really likes the Omega and this, which is funny. Just a fun Swatch quartz. Nothing amazing, but it's a design icon. Swatch is an incredibly important. It's, in a way, they're the original fashion watch, but you know, Swatch being the amalgamation of second and watch, the words together. So it's just affordable fun. I love Swatch. I really adore them. So what's next? Well, technically it's not a dress watch, although I'm starting to wear it as such, and it is quite dressy. And certainly a strap monster. The Explorer, my latest acquisition. I will be reviewing this. I'll be doing a 5 loves and hates. I think I've gone through quite a lot already about its specifications. It's a watch I've grown to appreciate. I used to disregard it as something a bit too overly conservative and maybe a little bit boring, but now I really appreciate what it is. That dial, I mean, it's so imitated so many times. It's a Rolex you get a nod from the connoisseurs, but at the same time is reasonably affordable. It's not, well, reasonably affordable. It's still an expensive luxury timepiece, but you know, compared to the Submariner there, for example, or you know, a Gold President, it's a lot more accessible, but at the same time hugely iconic. So I think it offers a hell of a lot for the money. I also love the fact that now we have variations in size. It pleases a lot more wrists. Beautiful automatic piece, and I just love the symmetry of that dial. I wear it as a dress watch. I know it's not supposed to be, but you know, who cares? It's perfect. It's got 100 meters water resistant. You could jump in a pool, you rip your tux off, jump in the pool, bathe in champagne in a jacuzzi, or whatever you want to do. It can handle exploration of a more adult nature, shall we say, rather than Everest. So what is next? Well, chronographs. This is the Janiero, the Z199. I have also reviewed this. little 37mm stunner. And this was limited to 3,333 pieces, as you see right there. For a very specific reason. It was made in tribute to the collaboration Tissot did with La Magna, even Omega, and a couple of other brands back in the 30s. They made some terrific chronographs. And you can tell it's got that 1930s telemeter aesthetic, the gold dial. It's got one of the most gorgeous dials you've ever seen. I mean, look at the sunburst effect, the concentric circles on the subdials, matte on the main dial with that. Oh, they've even faux patinaed the date wheel just to complete it, even though this is from the 90s, which is really surprising. I've put it, of course, on a equally classy and refined strap from Coloreb. I think the mustard just complements the gold beautifully. Yeah, I still love this watch. It's still got a ton of personality, and I seldom wear it because it's getting rare. When I first bought one of these, it was $800. Now they're approaching $2,000. Let's put that there. There we go. So the next chronograph is again very much in similar style than this, but from a slight later period. This is my Rattrapante. Now this is from Dubey and Schaldenbrand, a very obscure Swiss luxury watchmaker. And this is a reissue of their classic chronographs from the 1940s, an index mobile. It's a unique way of making a Rattrapante, which is a split-second chronograph. If I start the chronograph, there's an extra third pusher incorporated into the crown. You hold that down, and the spring, some of the movement has been applied. Very ingenious invention by Georges Dubey, one of the two guys that founded this brand, along with René Schaldenbrand. You just let go and it catches up, so you can split the recordings. Very, very cool complication, extremely hard to do, and is usually attributed to very, very high-end watchmakers, you know, like Patek, IWC, people like that. Now, I snagged this bargain. It came defective. I had to fix it. I did a full review, so check it out. And this is part of the reason why I kind of decided to get rid of the Tudor, because this is my new gold piece. Now, this is gold capped, although back in the day, when they did gold capping, it was thick. I mean, this has got scratches on it, and you can still... It's so thick, the coating on it, that it still looks great. And possibly, I'm contemplating maybe it's time that Tissot moved on, because it's just not getting worn now. This has really become my kind of fancy dress watch, I guess. Forgotten legacy of horology, the Index Mobile. Amazing bit of history. Anyway, oh, and this is manual wind, by the way, and if I didn't mention before, that is the Tissot's manual wind as well. So my last chronograph is Giugiaro designed, as a famous Italian car designer. He did the cars like the DeLorean, all kinds of things. This is also known as the Ripley watch. This is a reissue of the famous 80s chronograph that featured in James Cameron's epic movie, part of the Aliens franchise, which I'm a huge fan of. And as you probably saw in the intro, I got to see Alien Covenant, which I absolutely loved. It wasn't perfect, but the very interesting use of Böcklin's Isle of the Dead painting in the film. If anybody spotted that about halfway through, very, very cool. Lots of hidden meanings in that film, and certainly much more intellectually interesting and sophisticated than Prometheus. But anyway, yeah, a bit of a kind of Nietzsche, Zarathustrian horror film with elements of Frankenstein, and fantastic, great stuff. Love Ridley Scott. So yeah, this is a quartz racing chronograph originally, with fantastic 80s design, those salmon pink hands and that dashy yellow, and obviously this incredible texture. It's just unlike anything, and this asymmetrical design. I mean, have you ever seen anything like it? It is a divisive one, bit of a Marmite effect, but cool all the same, and I love it. Okay, last but by no means least are my digital watches. Well, first of all, we have my replacement for the Mudman. This is my military G-Shock, the classic DW 5600, but the military edition, which I've customized with bull bars from J&K. Shout out to J&K, and of course NATO strap adapters, which you can put a NATO strap if you want. Very, very cool. I love it. Hard as nails. A true icon reborn in a contemporary blacked out military fashion. So funny, I baby this watch. It's supposed to be a beta, but I wear it every day on my workouts. It's what can I say, I love this timepiece, and I love the fact that I've customized it, and it's just got, it's no nonsense. It's an essential part. I will always have a G-Shock in the collection, and I'm often Schwarzkopfing with this one. It's a really great secondary watch because of all the functions, and hard as nails, obviously. Last but by no means least, Christmas present. This is my Databank. Very retro. Look at that tapering bracelet. Oh, the calculator that you can also input phone numbers, all the rest of it. Fun, utterly ridiculous, but look at the case. It's so 80s. I just love it. This is actually a modern incarnation of the classic 80s version. You can get it in gold as well, gold tone. I love it. I mean, it's just fun. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to put that there we go. So that is it, guys. Wow, jam-packed. A lot of color, a lot of variety. Got some crazy complications. We got some icons. Well, actually, a lot of them are iconic. There's very few watches here that are not iconic. We got some future classics. We got some personal favorites. We got German, Japanese, even Canadian. Well, Marathon's Canadian, but they're Swiss made. Anyway, I love it. I'm very, very happy. I feel that this is really going somewhere. But although I will follow up with a video discussing my next medium, short-term and long-term goals, because they have changed. They have changed. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Please don't forget to add your thoughts, queries, comments, opinions, all the rest of it down below. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.